Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. Um, this time it's going to be on Umbrella SIG. I know we were talking about the last thing I did was a SIG um, data or traffic flow, how that works. Now we're going from theory and we're actually going to start showing it in the lab here. Now this lab's a little bit different, but it's also the same. What do I mean by that? Well, as you can see, I have three ice nodes. One's a, PAN and PSN mix. Two, I have a primary and a secondary, and then I have a separate XPX or SXP PX grid node. Now you would see that in certain designs where you don't want that to be, that's a dedicated node where you're going to do all your SXP and PX grid function on there. I have failover FMCs. Yeah, obviously we have our, ADCA, which is our certificate authority. Now, there's the difference. We only have a single setup here for a single fabric for SD-WAN. This is not multi-tenancy. Um, we have all our WAN edges here for SD-WAN. I even have these ones up here for this is a different design that we'll go over later, but this is just basically site 1, site 2, site 3. Then I have remote access here for this, right in this section here, where we're doing the load balancing for RA VPN, but I also have this tied into Cisco Umbrella. So you're going to be, the whole basis of this theme is in the real world is this is what Umbrella is technically used for. Like Umbrella SIG is what you want to do for the internet side of things. Now, the minute you start wanting to do private resources and stuff like that, you need to get off of this and go directly to Cisco Secure Access. Videos coming soon, by the way. You need to go to Cisco Secure Access so now you can do private resources as well. This is where your ZTNA is going to come in. This is where RAVPN as a service is going to come in. All that stuff, when you want to do that kind of setup, you need to go to Cisco Secure Access. Umbrella does not do this. Now, if you're a smaller company and you don't need that type of design, but you still want to be able to protect the asset, which is what we're really doing here. We're protecting the asset. No one cares about the technology. What are we protecting here? The asset, which is the company laptop and your employees, making them more productive, but safe as well, right? No matter where they are in the world. This is what Cisco Umbrella is for when it comes to internet security, web security, DNS layer security. Once you want to start doing some more advanced stuff, like I said just a few seconds ago, ZTNA, remote access VPN as a service, which reduces your CapEx because you don't have to buy a bunch of VPN concentrators all over the place. You need to move over to Cisco Secure Access, but I'm making this video specifically for people who don't need Cisco Secure Access right now. So how this is set up basically is, let's go to the fabric. Let's look at our SD-WAN here. I'm going to pull SD-WAN up in a second when I actually get the right one. And here we go. So this is the SD-WAN fabric right now. As you see, I have 5 sites, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is going to be handling my spoke-to-spoke tunnel, my resource-to-resource communication. Basically, you have retail sites, branch sites that don't have servers. They get all their resources from data center A or data center B. SD-WAN is handling this, right? SD-WAN is going to handle all that type of traffic. I like SD-WAN because once you start doing dynamic tunnels, trying to do this on a firewall, and now you have to, depending on what firewall you're using, but you're going to have to configure, let's say, route-based VPNs all over the place, hub and spoke design, yada, 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 still manual configuration. With SD-WAN, once you get all the front-end work done, you pretty much plug the new box in, get it hooked into or orchestrated into or authenticated to the fabric. Then you push down the template and bam, you're up in seconds. Let me not over exaggerate. Not seconds, what's the same minutes, right? Compared to trying to do this on traditional methods. So how that's going to work, I think I went over this before, is you have your templates here. Now you're going to have a feature template and you're going to have your device templates. Your feature templates are the little individual things that go into your device template. Think of the device template. I kind of look at this as in ICE, you have a logical profile and you have an endpoint profile. The endpoint profile is the single profile, and then the logical profile can combine multiple profiles in it, right? Same thing. Feature template is the individual stuff that you want to configure. So if we go to our feature templates here, what you're going to see There's a lot of templates: ERGRP, OSPF, banner templates, VPN templates. VPN templates are basically VRFs and C edges. Now, in V edges, which are Viptela edges, the old Viptela boxes, which technically this is what it used to be, VPNs were actually called VPNs. In the Cisco world, ISR, ASR router, stuff like that, it's going to be VRFs. And we'll look at that when we get to the table. I think I did this in another video, but I just want to recap. So once you get all these templates put in play, then you go to your, when I have a chance here, you go to your device template, and your device template encompasses all your feature templates. As you can see, I have 16 here and I have 15 here. So that's 15 individual feature templates. So now you know SD-WAN, if you really want to get into that. Again, it's going to be linked in the description. Let's have a conversation about how we can actually implement this in your environment. So now let's go to one of these sites. So we're going to go to a retail site. Just so you can see, we'll do retail 1. And of course, there's no licensing here, so that's why you see this red mark here. Once you properly license it, you don't have to worry about this. So let's log in here. All right, so all I want to do is actually show you the VPN 1, I believe, is what I have as VPN 1 or VRF 1. I'll show you the right route tables there. So show out IP route. Route VRF 1. It's going to show me all my routes here. And the one I want you to pay close attention to is this route here. This is a static route that is a SIG, or this is where SIG comes in. This is a service route. So basically, there's a couple routes that you can do in SD-WAN. There's your typical, there's an IPsec route. There's a, tunnel route. There's a thing called a service route, which SIG is going to use to get out to the internet. There are a couple other things, you can go between VPN if you're doing DAI, which is just, hey, you want to go to the internet, you're going to go to VPN 0 and get out to the internet, but you need NAT and all that good stuff. This is just strictly using a SIG tunnel to go into Umbrella SIG. And now SIG is my cloud delivered firewall, my web appliance, all that good stuff. So again, traditional routes here, all these M routes are how I get back to the data center and stuff like that. Now, if you want to verify that, SIG is technically working and you have those tunnels, you just do show SD-WAN. You always have to do show SD-WAN on Cisco devices, because in Viptela world, you don't have to do this, but since it's Cisco devices, they have their own menu called SD-WAN and all the sub configurations under that. So we'll just do secure internet tunnel, and I'm going to do tunnels umbrella, because you can do umbrella or you can do Zscaler, but I'm using umbrella here. So if I go tunnels, here are my tunnels. So here's tunnel 1 that's going to New York, and my backup tunnel, which is going to Auburn, which I think is Virginia. So that verifies that my tunnels are actually up for SD-WAN and SIG integration. So that's up. So all my internet is now going to go through SIG, no matter where I am in the environment. No matter where I am, I could be at the headquarters, I can be in the data center, I can be at home. You'll see that with the remote access user, or I can be in any of the brand sites. Everything is going to still go through Umbrella, one policy that controls all, right? Again, what are we doing here? Protecting the asset no matter where they are in the world, right? And this is for the website in the DNS layer side. So now that's already been taken care of. Let's look at where we are in our design. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to look at branch site here. So here is, actually, I will go umbrella. So now we're in umbrella. So we're in umbrella here, and this is mainly what it looks like. As you can see, I have 2 VAs, which are doing my DNS layer security in the entire lab. Actually, all my tunnels that go back to the DC, they're, for DHCP is giving out the VA addresses. I can get to that and I can block it at the DNS layer. Then I have 1 roaming client, which is my RAVPN user, and then I have 9 active tunnels. These are the tunnels that you just saw in SD-WAN. Actually, let's take a look at that. So to do that, we're going to go to deployments. Here's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. Domain management, this is going to be your AD integration. Like I have AD integration into, and this is my VAs, this is my the AD connector, domain connector. This is how you can get, the AD groups and start doing policies based on AD groups or identity, so to speak. The root certificate is what needs to be installed on every machine because I'm doing SSL decryption through Umbrella. I offloaded it up to Umbrella. In order to do that, you need to have the root certificate on every machine. And then we have network tunnels now. I have 9 of them. So when I click on this, you're going to see all the tunnels that I configured through SD-WAN. And then you're going to see, hey, it's going to correlate to, I think, retail site 1 was site 3. So you're going to see 3. And let's get here. So this is for site 2. This is my data center. This is how they show up in Umbrella. This is for site 3. This is the retail site. 4 is backed up. I think these other ones are not technically, some of these backups are not technically turned on. But if I were to go to 3, which is retail site 1, you can see that there's some data going through the tunnel. It uses a GCM cipher, so you don't have to use integrity algorithms in there, like SHA-256 and stuff like that. Let's see what else you got here. At least for the IPsec tunnel, I think you still uses AES 128. So blockchain cipher or block cipher anyway. And so you still have to use integrity. So that's why you see SHA here, but the IPsec tunnel is using GCM, so you don't technically have to do that. But as you can see, there are some traffic going through that tunnel. And then this is just normal tunnel stuff. Tunnels up, unless you have some policies or something like that, really doesn't matter if the tunnels are up. We got our remote client. I have one remote client, which you can see. I have web and DNS layer protection. Now, this is for people who are like, who say, well, why would I use Umbrella SIG? I have Umbrella regular DNS Advantage. Well, again, if we're trying to protect the asset, no matter where they are in the world, you need to have SIG or you need to have Cisco Secure Access. Again, I am more of a Cisco Secure Access person because it gives you added features that you may or may not need currently, but when you want to use it later, you're going to have to replace Umbrella and basically do a rip and replace, start from scratch, rebuilding. If you're potentially want to get into ZTNA, just go straight to Cisco Secure Access. I'm going to keep saying that so that you don't make the mistake and buy something when you know later on down the line, you're probably going to ask to get all this other stuff. But again, for smaller clients that don't need it, Cisco Umbrella SIG is perfect for you. So now you see how everything from a network perspective is set up. Let's look at some policies here. So here are the policies. Policy components are individual components, destination lists, content categories, application settings, tenant controllers for like CASB and stuff like that. You can have security settings, block pages settings, integration, selective decryption lists. If you have a selective decryption list, I do have one. I believe it's a do not decrypt list saying, hey, do not decrypt, which is down here. Do not decrypt certain sites, healthcare, finances, anything that can cause a legal issue. The big ones are healthcare, finance, government. Now they got social networks in there sometimes. But you can create this list to say, hey, don't decrypt anything in here, right? Because there's certain things that could cause a problem if you try to decrypt it. If I look at some of the domains in here, Microsoft.com, Cisco.com, Sourcefire.com. The reason why I'm doing that because when I'm trying to pull updates or if I need to go to Microsoft.com to pull updates, some of this stuff will cause a problem and you can't, it'll just basically break the communication because it's trying to decrypt it. So you need to do these selective lists so you don't break communication with certain things, especially if you're doing Cisco, like you got Cisco duosecurity.com. You don't need to decrypt that because if you're doing like native AD integration, it'll break it. So you have to now don't decrypt anything that's going to, duosecurity.com. That's the tip. So as I did in the last video about the flow, as you can see here, you see DNS policies, firewall policies, web policies, DLP. And it goes exactly like that. So if we look at our DNS policies, I have 2 DNS policies in here, one for roaming clients, one for the site itself, and one for network devices. So if I were to now technically, I could have put all the identities into one, but I didn't want to do that, right? And we have our roaming. This is all DNS. We have for our roaming clients. Here's security settings DNS, content setting DNS. Those are individual things that I created and added. We have the intelligent proxy. We have the selective decryption here, which, hey, this says exclude this from the list, and health and fitness, social networking, webmail, financial institutions. I can add more stuff to it, but I just said I'm just going to pick those because they kind of give that as a default. So I just picked it there. The root certificate I already downloaded and put it on the machine, and we'll validate that, SSL decryption is happening, because I'll go to a site, we'll look at the certificate, and you'll see it, the certificate is signed by Cisco and not the original uh, certificate. And that is outbound SSL decryption, which is a resign. It's not presenting the key as if I was the server, because I don't own the server, so you can't really do inbound encryption. Then we have our firewall policies. Firewall policies, remember I said in the last video, most people do not use the firewall because they already have something doing that. Well, you can still come in here and it's cloud-based firewall. So by default, you get this default internet rule that allows anything. What I did up here, though, is I blocked BitTorrent applications. So I said, hey, if anything's going to these 13 applications, which are known as BitTorrent applications, we're going to block that from the rip, right? So nothing's going on because I haven't tried to test out BitTorrent. I already know it works. I'll try it out probably later on just for funsies, but it's going to get blocked because obviously firewall policy says block that application. Then if it's not a BitTorrent application and it's hitting the default rule here, the next thing it goes to is the web policy. So here's my web policy. I have a bunch of web policies here. I have a default web policy, and remember it's top down. And then I just have, the normal web policy, and I just gave it that rule set. I have 29 identities that's hitting that. So if I hit edit here, I got 80 groups. I have my tunnels, and I have one roaming client that uses this web policy. And for right now, I'm just blocking bad guys. So anything that I deem as a bad guy, we're just going to block it and then allow everything else. And then as you can see, SSL decryption or HTTPS inspection, that's SSL decryption, is enabled. I have BitTorrent applications being blocked. So if you actually try to get a .torrent file, it'll just block it. And then I have file analysis. This is my IPS policies and stuff like that. Other things like SAML and, safe search, I didn't turn on. I don't really see people turning on SAML, so I don't have to worry about that. So once you have all those policies set up, everything that you saw in that lab is now protected. In the real world, that means if you're sitting in the office, you're going through Umbrella. You have to go through that policy. If you're sitting in one of my branches, you got to go through the policy. If you're sitting at home, and this is the key here, this one is the key, because a lot of people like to use their work laptop like it's their personal laptop. And if they're not protected, they pretty much, your policy only works when they're in a branch office or when they're in headquarters or when they're in a data center. Once they get out of that perimeter, or that shell, as I like to call it, now they got free reign because they're not behind anything. This is where Umbrella and Cisco Secure Access kicks in, because it doesn't matter where you go. You still are, you're still holding to the shell. You're basically, you can't go anywhere. You can't escape, right? And then Cisco Secure Access, once you start doing SGTs, and that's a whole nother conversation, when you start getting into that, then you really can't go anywhere, because that SGT now follows you even when you're outside the office, when you do certain integrations, so to speak. And again, those videos are going to come out soon. But again, this is the main reason why you would, as a small business, would start with Cisco Umbrella, because you may not need all those other features. That's another conversation linking below that we would have before you even, implement something like this. We would say, okay, would you fit better for Cisco Secure Access or Cisco Umbrella? And then we'll go from there. So now these are the policies. I showed you the individual components. Now the other thing is reporting. How do you know, right? Intelligent information, right? Actionable information. How can you look at this stuff and say, okay, I can see what someone's doing? Well, this is where you're going to have your reporting function. So your reporting function is going to tell you especially when you do the integrations like AD, the VAs and stuff like that, it will tell you what person is actually going to what. So if we just do a simple activity search, this is going to be all the DNS stuff. And as you can see, it's coming from the identity, which is my site. And then this one is my actual FTP server, which is telling me, hey, from a DNS perspective, it went to Bitbucket. This was a request and all that good stuff, right? And now you can see by name, right? This is the stuff by name. Branch one, I have a user here. This is actually my wife, so she probably doesn't know I have this in here. So she's probably gonna get pissed when she says, why is my name on here? But whatever. Branch one is another user I created. Now you won't be able to see all this stuff unless you have integration with the VAs. If you don't have an integration with the VAs, you can't really see users. So there's no point in actually doing this. And then you can actually create policies based on users or AD groups. But there's no point in doing this if you don't have it integrated. Again, we can do that. Link in the description for a discovery call. But these are all DNS requests. So this is stuff that's usually going to my VA, and then my VA is just sending some of this stuff up to the cloud because it's logging. Now, if I wanted to see some web stuff, so here's the web stuff coming from the user. As I see, here's the policy or the rule set identity. Here's stuff coming from some of the tunnels. This is actually my sister here, my sister's name. I just use like a family or anybody's name, usually when I do set up labs, because I don't want to just make up users, whatever. So here's a lot of web requests that's coming from her. Then we have firewall. So we have firewall here. And this is going to say, okay, what came through on the firewall rules? Now, as you can see, this is mainly tunnel stuff. So this is with the site three, which is the retail site. So I can actually see what was actually, this is all SSL stuff. What was actually from a firewall perspective, what kind of stuff was going through this retail site? Now, the one thing I do want to show you from a web perspective, or maybe DNS, because DNS happened first. So we're going to go with, let's see if we can see if anything was blocked. All right. Now, I tested this out before I got here, and I tried to go to a certain site where I seen a lot of people who they don't have this involved, and you see a lot of this stuff on work machines where people go to certain sites they're not supposed to because they think their laptop, their work laptop is their personal laptop. And when I scroll over and you see the category, you'll see why. So this is the DNS that was being blocked, right? And as you can see, I tested it out, and what's that category right there? Let's look in full detail. And this is the best part. I can look in full detail and see exactly where this person went. So here's was the address. This is where they try to go to. This is the destination they try to go to. If anybody knows, you know, I'm not going to say the name. And that's because this is a pornographic site, and I have that blocked from a DNS layers perspective. So as soon as someone types in that DNS request, it went to the VAs. The VA said, looked at Umbrella, said, hey, that's supposed to be blocked. Blocked it immediately. So as you can see, blocked all that traffic. I have online storage and stuff blocked. And as you can see, the DNS type was the A record type, which means it was a DNS A record that was trying to be looked up that was not allowed, and they were blocked. Remember, this is no matter where the person goes in the environment, they will get, the policy will dictate what they can actually do on the asset that we are protecting. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing. So I just wanted to show you that, and I wanted to test it because, you know, I wanted to show you some use cases here. So now that that's all done, this is basically how everything goes, right? This is the reporting function. If I wanted to look at, you know, additional reports like total request, that shows you here. Now, since it's web-based, you kind of see everything here. If I went to DNS, it kind of tells you the total DNS requests over time. Let's say, is there top categories? Here's the top categories where you can see from a DNS perspective, hey, you know, what are people requesting the most? There's also things like applications. So application discovery. What applications did we discover from all this traffic? So we have 55 unreviewed apps that was seen. Now, if I was doing something like tenant control, we can kind of, you know, say control this app. So we have Bing, Microsoft Office 365. If I hit control this app, this would go to tenant control, and then you can control what people can do in Office 365, which is kind of your CASB function to avoid shadow IT. So that is Umbrella in a nutshell. All right. And we'll go back to overview. Now, let's look at that back in the lab. And we're going to focus on the user, the remote user, and the branch site user. So we go here. Now, we're at the NFL.com, right? And just to show you, here's Umbrella here. It is active. All web and all DNS goes through Umbrella. Now you have to enable that in Umbrella, but everything goes through Umbrella. I am not connecting to any VPN right now. As you can see, it just says ready to connect. If I look at the certificate of NFL.com, now NFL.com is not on my Cisco. So when we look at the certificate, verified by Cisco, this is the SSL decryption that has been offloaded to the cloud. There's no firewall. If you're looking at the design of this lab, it's a router, a switch, and a user. That's mainly what people got at home, or they have like Comcast or something like that. There's no SSL decryption on Comcast. So this is actually going through Umbrella to get decrypted. Now, if I hit more information and I view the certificate, when it pops up, you're going to see Cisco Umbrella Secondary Sub CA certificate. This certificate is in my trusted root authorities, right? So now when I want to decrypt something, remember this is re-sign and rekeying it, outbound decryption, because I don't own the server that owns NFL.com. I am now able to decrypt that traffic. And if there's malware or anything like that that's in that traffic, my malware and IPS would catch it. That's going through Umbrella. So again, look at this as a home user that left your facility. They left the headquarters, went home. Well, now they're still controlled by you. They're still controlled. You're still protecting the asset, which is your company laptop, anywhere in the world. And, you know, that's the whole, if you want to know what SASE kind of is all about, that's really what it's all about. Asset protection, no matter where they sit. If they're in Starbucks and they're perusing the internet, well, guess what? They got to go through Umbrella, because it's not going through Starbucks internet. It's going through Umbrella, and they're protected. You don't have to worry about all that good stuff. So as you can see, SSL decryption works. And just so you can verify that, let's go to NBA.com. As you can tell, I'm a sportsman. So we go to NBA.com. Just so you can see, traffic is, web traffic is technically working. It wasn't like I put a static site up there and was like, oh, look at that. So this is obviously going to take forever to load. But if we go here again, and it says secure, and as you can see, verified by Cisco, got decrypted again. It's still loading, so it probably didn't get all the information needed. But as you see, SSL decryption is technically working. Okay, this is one of the use cases for using Umbrella SIG, not just DNS layer security, but Umbrella SIG or Cisco Secure Access if you need those other features. So protecting remote users, remote work users, your sales team, your marketing team, anybody that's a remote user. If you went to work from home and everybody's working from home now, this is a way to protect those assets. Why? Because worst case scenario, if you're not doing this, the likelihood of one of your company assets getting infected with a virus or getting some type of malware behind the scenes or turning into a botnet is skyrocketing. I'm not going to say 100%, but it's damn near close to it. And then they come into headquarters, and I only need one machine to be a botnet before I can get everybody else in your network to be a bot. And now I have a botnet waiting to strike and hurt your internal and hurt one of your most important assets, which is your network, right? With this, you're increasing the safety, protecting the asset, and you're limiting the risk, or not full mitigation, right? But you're limiting the chances or the likelihood of your machine being compromised outside of your network. Still can happen, but the likelihood goes down, right? You're just managing the risk, right? What's the acceptable level of risk? And you're getting it down to that. So let's say It's a branch. You went from headquarters now, and you're going into, retail store one or bank branch one. So this machine is behind retail store one or bank branch one. Now, as you can tell, there is no Cisco secure anything, no AnyConnect, no any of that, right? So let's say we want to go to any site here that comes up. Now I'm using the Edge browser, and we all know Edge takes forever to work. So obviously I didn't. Now you're watching this live, so I didn't actually go through all of this. I don't know why Edge browser does this. So let's get out of here. Now let's say we wanted to go. We'll do the same. We'll do NFL.com. So we're going to NFL.com. Wait for that to come up. Let's hit the lock here. Good old trusty Microsoft Edge browser. Just takes forever. So it says the connection is secure. Well, let's see if it's secure. And we're going to look at the certificate here. And as you can see, SSL decryption, because now you can see Cisco Umbrella Secondary Sub CA. No firewall. This is an SD-WAN router. The only thing that's here is the fabric. I did the DNS request to my VAs over in Data Center 1. VAs came back and said, okay, you're allowed to get there because it's just a sports site. The SSL decryption kicked in, and that kicked in from Umbrella. So I'm using the cloud delivered firewall on top of the web functionality based on what you saw in the last couple minutes back where I had the web policies and stuff like that. SSL decryption came in or kicked in, and now you can see I'm decrypting traffic at the branch site, and I don't have the Umbrella module on here. So again, now I'm protected no matter where I go. No matter where I go. So that's a branch site, protected no matter what. If I was in headquarters, same thing. Now, I do not have I didn't do the SASE topology yet for the FTD. Once I do that, then everything at the headquarters would go through Umbrella as well. So again, protection no matter where. I don't care where you are in the world. You can be across the world. You can be on a yacht as long as you have internet access and stuff like that. As long as you have that module and everything goes through Umbrella or secure access, total protection no matter where they go. And ultimately, what that does is protect the asset and minimize the likelihood of a compromised machine. That's the benefit for all of this stuff. So this was a brief look at Cisco Umbrella, or what I call SASE Lite, right? For people who do not need all the other functions of Cisco Secure Access. This is a way to still be protected for your internet traffic. Now, this is one attack vector that can be protected, right? Obviously, if you email, I would do something like Cisco CES, because email is the other big threat vector there, which people like to just attack that with phishing attacks, spear phishing, stuff like that. This is more of your web-based attacks, stopping drive-by downloads, things like that. Since those are the two big areas where people like to be attacked from, we're talking about handling one, which is web, right? We're not talking about email in this one. If you got any questions about this, or if you're looking to actually implement this in your environment, there's going to be some links in the descriptions. Let's have a conversation about how we can get this in your environment and protect those assets no matter where they are in the world. I know I said that a lot, but I really want to stress the fact that this is the point of all this. It's not a technical conversation. It's an asset protection conversation. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is Don from Padlock Technologies. Thank you and have a nice day.